Lonnie, I want you to explain to Judy why these documents are wrong.
Well, I wish I could explain it, but I don't know why.
No, starting, mention the documents, okay, again.
Those documents, it's got our names about the union and everything in there. That I don't know a thing in the world about, because we all worked on there. And I can't understand why it was like that. And that's all I can tell you about that, because I don't know. I don't know how it come about.
I wonder if some of those other names, do you know what happened to some of these other people, if they really were evicted or if they were fired?
Yeah, they were.
So,
yeah, there was some of them.
Should
The
I read?
bishops, they fired every one of them and made them move off of the village. And the Brooks, they fired her. And she had to move off the village. Now that part was right.
Why did they fire those and not you people? Talk to Judy about it.
Well, that is what I can't understand. That's why I say I wish I could explain it, because that's the first time I knowed about it.
Judy, ask him about it. Why did the company
Yeah.
fire some people and not others?
Lonnie, why did the company fire some people and not other people?
Well, all the people that they knowed about was in the union. They did. They claimed it wasn't firing them about the union, but they found something to get rid of them for. You know, it's in other words, the ones that's in the union, and they know they're one of them. How they got their names, like I told you a while ago, I don't know. But they know they're one of them by name. And
Did you know every one of them by name?
At that time I did, yeah.
Could you just say, well, at the time I knew everybody in the union, and name some of them?
Well, it was Brooks and the bishops. And Lord, right offhand, I don't know. I'd say over half of the people worked there lost their jobs on account of it. I'd say at least half of them, if not over half.
Now, if half of the people you're saying half of the people that worked in the mill joined the union?
Yeah, I'd say at least half of them did.
Just to say that again, at least half the people in the work there joined the union, and then they lost their jobs.
Yeah, I'd say at least half of the mill people that worked at the time the union come up and were trying to get organized, they lost their jobs, and they had to move on account of it.
How does everybody else feel when those people had to move out?
Well, everybody felt sorry for them, because everybody knew they was misled. Everybody knew that they was talked into it. And everybody, like I said a while ago, everybody had seen how it was running, knew there wasn't nothing to it in the first place. It wasn't. In other words, it didn't even make sense. It didn't make common sense to me. It was sneaky. Everything was done sneaked around. Nothing was out in the open.
Well, if they knew that the boss would fire you for being in the union, how could you help from being sneaky?
Well, you got a point there.
Explain that.
Well, yeah, everybody knowed about the union and would know that they was getting in it. They knowed when the company found out about it, they was going to lose their job. Every one of them knowed it. All people knowed that. Oh, the company hated the name union. And the way it was done and come about, I wouldn't have blamed them a bit in the world. Because if it had been an organized thing and worked together and worked out, it would have been all right. But Lord, no, not the way it was. That wasn't a union, that was just a lockout. Just going around and locking out places, locking people out from the work and all for the jobs.
How did you feel living in a village where you couldn't drink and you had to go to church and you couldn't join a union? Could you just explain that?
Well, it made you feel under bondage. That's the best way I know to put it. You felt like you were under bondage. And you knowed you didn't have no freedom. That was on the job and off of the job as well. And that there wasn't no right to. And it made a hardship on you. But the main thing it made a hardship on people is the way the company would listen and not look into things. They would fire you. And say if I got mad with you, her, anybody, and wanted to get you out of a job, all I had to go tell them, I seen them at such a place, they were drunk. That was it. Your word didn't mean nothing. You was fired. You was gone. There wasn't no right to that. There's a two sides to everything. And there's a right side and the wrong side.
Did that happen to you?
Yeah. Yeah, that time I got fired for drunkenness. I ain't even had a drop of liquor or nothing that day. In fact, the business, me and my wife had been off and got groceries and come in. And that's what we got. And I don't know yet who told it that I was drunk. But that went on all the time. That didn't just happen to me. It happened to the best, I'll say, down there.
Did the mill have, did the boss have a series of spies or snitches around?
Plenty of them. Plenty of them.
Describe that.
Yeah, stool pigeons, what we called them. Stool pigeons. And a lot of times you'd find them you thought was your best friend. That's, it was a sad thing. It was, at that time, was a serious thing. Because there wasn't no jobs and you got out of a job. You wondered where your income was coming from. And I just hope and pray that the young generation coming on will never have to face something like that. But if they don't stand up for the rights, and with the government, we got a government pretty well now that believes in abiding by the constitutional laws. And they got to speak out, where a lot of them till today won't. But then you couldn't get nobody to speak out. They're afraid. Everybody's afraid to. They know. I said, well, I would, but I know what it means. I'd be just like you. I'd be out of a job too. And you couldn't get nobody, even if they know you're in the right, still couldn't get them to say nothing. I saw like a man was dolphin together. He stooped over one day in a bobbin bin. I don't know where y'all understand that, but the bobbin bin, it's just a big old box of old bobbins. It's about waist high. And he stooped over, the bobbins were low in the bin. And when he did, he ruptured himself. And that man went into a fit. I didn't know what had happened. Well, they couldn't get the company to do nothing. He sued the company for getting hurt on the job and everything, them saying it was already done and all. Well, they had me on that. I told them just how it was. A lot of them told me, said, I wouldn't have done that. Boy, they'll fire you. But they didn't. I don't know why, but they didn't fire me about it. But that's what I believed in, standing up. Standing up for the right and the right thing. And I wasn't going to lie for the man, and I wasn't going to lie again. I just told it like it was when they got me up there. Told him that's all I know. I seen him when he stooped over right beside of it, getting bobbins out of the same bin, and he'd come up hollering and yelling, and I didn't know what had happened. He did. He had a fit. So.
Have you ever heard the term lint head?
Sure.
Tell about that.
Well, a lot of people, they're called a cotton miller, lint heads, because there's a lot of lint and everything. They call them lint heads. And this the pimps was talking about a while ago. They call them, I'll just put it to you like they called it, scalps. They call them scalps. And you had things like that to put up with, which you could bear with that pretty good. 'Cause everybody worked in the mill felt like it lint head to a certain extent. 'Cause like a lot of times you got a lot of lint on you. But it was easy to come off. You take a blow pipe, you could wear your Sunday clothes, take a blow pipe and blow it every bit off. Now when they put that mohair in, that mohair didn't come off too good. You could blow and it'd still stick to you.
Did you resent the idea that people were looking down on you when they called you lint heads?
Well, it made you feel like that they thought they was a little better than you was or something. You know, that you had to have that feeling. Because you know, anybody get a remark made against them, it makes them feel, if they got any feeling at all, it makes them feel a little funny. But we had that to put up with. That was all through life.
When did that happen to you?
Well, that time we went to work, that started. And off and on as long as we worked in textile. But a lot of people, it would make remarks to you. In later days, would come back and try to get you to help them get a job. That's the way it worked. They'd come back and want you to see, could you help them get on?
Now, you lived in East Noonan, didn't you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What happened when you went downtown?
Well, when you got in town, everybody was just about the same thing. All textile people were the same thing. But a lot of people, the most remarks you got like that was out of farmers. Farmers used to say that anybody worked in a textile mill was no good. As good of people as I've ever met in my life was textile workers.
Why? Why did farmers say that?
Well, just like one of my aunts one time, I just use her. She said, well, she heard all her life that textile people wasn't no good. Now, where she got it at, I don't know. But see, they didn't know anything about it. It's going to be hearsays. But they're just good at textile people as there anywhere in the world. I don't care where they're at. They were good people in there, Christian people. Now you found a lot of people that was pretty rough, but you find that anywhere, in any job.
Did you have churches and revivals around, and could you talk about that in terms of East Noonan?
Oh yeah, there was a lot of Christian people. They was in church every Sunday. In other words, the company had a church there. You know, the company had a nice church there. And the Methodists and Baptists used the same church. And Methodists have their meeting one day, like one Sunday. Next Sunday, the Baptists have. 1 week they have a revival. Next week, the Baptists have theirs. Yeah, it worked out fine. There's a lot of religious people. Good people worked there. As good a Christian people I've ever known worked in textile.
What about the tent revivals?
Well, they'd be evangelists come around about once a year, and the company let them put up tents on the company ground. And everybody was free to go. Now, you were free to go to church and like that. But they just wasn't going to put up with no drinking and no rough stuff like that. But for religion now, you could serve any kind of denomination you wanted to serve with them. It didn't make any difference about that.
How do you feel about your children going into textiles?
Well, I'd assume my kids would be in textile as any place I know of. Fact business, I got a daughter that works in the textile office now over here at Oranco. That's where she works. And she's doing all right. And textile, it is nothing like a lot of people think it is. And just like I said, now you find a lot of companies in textile companies. There's good people, the officials and all, stockholders and all. They're good. But every one of them has their own rules. Now you take Oranco mills. If a hands needed any money, they went to the company. They didn't go to the bank. They went to the company and borrowed it. Now East Newnan wouldn't do that. East Newnan mill they wouldn't loan you a dime nowhere in the world for nothing. But now, all mills had their difference and the different setups and all.
Did you ever think about getting to be a supervisor or foreman?
Well, I stayed as a second hand. That's called the first foreman. I stayed there about 38 years down here at Sergeant. I never mistreated anybody. I never had nothing to do with two people getting fired. And I asked for both of those because they done tried them in all parts of the mill. And they was mentally disturbed, to tell you the truth about it. And I was sorry for them. And they was going to let them go, and I asked for them. I told them, let me take them and try. And one of them worked about a year and a half. And the other, he didn't make it but about a month. So he started on me with a hammer one day and had to let him go. So that wasn't my fault there, and the company's fault, either one.
Lonnie, how did the community treat?
Women now doing everything in one direction.
Mm-hmm.
Would be for us silly to swap eye contact.
Right.
Okay.
If Judy
What's
can
that?
move to you, or Judy can move instead of you.
Yeah, just in my place.
If I may.
And I think we're just about through.
Judy, take the microphone power supply with you.
Okay.
Just,
Okay.
we already swapped eye contact twice.
Yeah, I know, okay.
And I'd rather not do it third
Yeah,
time,
okay.
sir.
Okay. But I think we're
Thank you,
about
ma'am.
through.
Okay.
Only, Judy's got a couple of questions, and I think we're through.
Okay.
Very well.
Okay?
Yep.
Was that one all the time? Yeah. It was on there, that's right. It was? Yeah. What do you want? And go. I'm sorry.
Lonnie, I wonder how the community treated you when you were fired for drunkenness.
Well, most of the people understood.
I
Then-
started when I got fired.
When I got fired for being drunk, most of the people understood and knew how it was. Well, some of them, like I said, there's two sides to everything, and some of them believed it and didn't know the difference for a long time. But that didn't bother me because I went on to Grantville and went to work at Grantville. Didn't bother me a bit.
Now, you came back to Newnan prior to the 1934 strike, and you were working at the East Newnan Mill during the strike.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. When we were here last time, you told us a story about when they took the chains off the mill, and you went back to work.
Yeah.
And your daddy-in-law too.
Yeah.
Could you tell us that story again?
Well, when they sent everybody word that they was going to unlock the gates, going to cut the chains on, and for everybody that wanted to come back, to come on back. Well, most everybody went back when they cut the locks on. And my first wife's daddy was the first one went in, and I went in behind him. That's what I can't understand about this archive business. And we got in the mill. The overseer made a talk, and the superintendent, and said that everybody wanted to work, to lay the union and the troubles aside, and not even talk about it. Now, that was one good thing about them right there. They didn't want nobody. In other words, they didn't want no trouble coming up. That two sides get talking about something that's going to bring up trouble, And they had it understood with both sides to not bring it up at all. And so that worked out fine. But it made it hard on other ways. Like I told them about that stretch out and all. It made it rough on that. But
Why did, Miss George, you have a question? I'm wondering why your brother moved to Detroit. If there's any connection between your brother moving to Detroit and the fact that his name is on this list of people who were evicted from their homes.
well, when he went to Detroit, some of his friends,
When my brother Oscar went to Detroit.
when my brother Oscar went to Detroit, some of his friends had already went up there, and they come back on a visit and told him if he'd go back with them, that they believed it could get on where they was working, which was Chrysler Corporation. Well, he went back with them, because East Union then wasn't running but 1-2 days a week. And a lot of people didn't get that one day. That was split up. Maybe one would had one day, 2 or 3 weeks he might get another day. And they had divided up best they could. And that's why he went up there.
Were your brother's friends part of the union? Is that why they went to Detroit?
Now that I can't say, because I don't even remember now which one it was and who it was. It's just some of his friends. But I can say now who it was.
I have one more question. You talked about fear, people being afraid to speak about union affiliations. And I'm wondering if your brother would have been willing to admit, if he had been part of the union, would if your brother wanted to talk about it now?
Yeah, he's that type. He's like I am. He believed in speaking out and speaking his piece. And he believed in that. He wouldn't hold back, no. If somebody asked him, he would tell them how he felt about it. Yeah, he was that way. Now you take, up here at the old mill office, there's a big brass plate on the outside of the door as you go in the office. And you'll find my name, Lloyd's name, Oscar's name, every one on that plate. Where we left the old mill to go in service. Me and Lloyd left to go in service the same day. And Oscar, he was in the invasion in North Africa. They got him quick because he wasn't married. And that's what I can't understand. I really can't understand that. And
I think that's it. Okay, thank you.
Want to North Carolina?
Sir?
All right, could you tell me the story that you were telling Judy about the 34th strike?
Yeah. Well, we went into work that morning. We didn't know anything was going on. So all of a sudden, about 9 o'clock, here come these strikers out there, gonna shut us down. So we worked on 4 hours, and they said it's gonna pour hot water on us so we didn't get out. So they told us to go home. So we was out about 2 weeks, I think. And then when we went back, they're still out there. They had National Guards go up and down the alleys while we was working.
George, can we have this story one more time, technical, and I'm sorry, sir, I apologize again, please, sir.
Okay, could you tell it again and talk as loud as you can?
Okay. Like I said, we went in that morning and we didn't know anything was going on. So about 9 o'clock, they was all out there, let's shut it down. It's coming down and get us. So we worked on 4 hours, so they said it's going to pour hot water on us. So we shut it down and we went home. Did you hear me then?
Tell us about the rest of it then, what happened?
Well, the National Guard, they put them out there and they stayed out there about 6 days, I think. Every morning and every night I worked on second shift, so they go up down the alleys. So finally they left and let us alone.
Did you know any of the people who were the strikers?
They belonged to the union, but we didn't belong to no union.
Did you know any of the National Guardsmen?
No. All I know, they're there to protect us. That's all I want to know.
Did you, did any of the girls get friendly with them?
I don't think so. We was all too scared.
In one place we went to, one of the girls married one of the National Guardsmen.
I did. I don't think that happened to Sergeant.
Well, now here's a letter from Sergeant, written by somebody who got kicked out of the mill afterwards, and she wrote this to President Roosevelt. I want your daughter to read it to you and see what you think of it.
Dear Sir, Arnold Mill Company,
Just
TA
start out and see to whom it's addressed.
to Louis,
No, just below that.
Mr. Roosevelt, Mr. Franklin Roosevelt. Dear Sir, Arnold Mill Company, TA Casting Super, has sent part of us strikers a dispossessory warrant for us to move or to throw us in their streets. And do you think that it is legally for them to do so? We do not discriminate against the mill company at all. We would like to hear your view on this at once. Your friends, Mrs. Vera Cook, Noonan, Georgia, Arnco Mill.
And what does the PS say?
P.S. We all reported to work twice, and they turned us back with shotguns and pistols at the gate.
Did you know that woman? What was her name?
Mrs. Vera Cook.
No, she works at Arnco and I worked at Sergeant. They threatened to turn that hot water on them and have strikers out there if they didn't get away. So they finally left. That's going to throw it in on us to get us out. They're going to throw it on them to get them away.
Now there's a list of people here. Here's another letter. Let's see. We got a list here somewhere. You're going to stop it just a minute.
Yes, sir. We're rolling, stand by. 3, 2, 1, action.
These evictions were made after the strike in September 1934 because of union activities at Arnold Mill, Sargent, Georgia. C.L. Cooper, Will Gresham, Susie Gresham, J.T. Duncan, Leona Miller,
I know
Dewey Hobgod, Frank Cook, Tom Holloway,
that. No damn.
Johnny Wright, Willie Maud Wright, A.J. Kennedy, Fred Rogers, G.H. Hudson, Mrs. G.H. Hudson, Orrin Hudson, and Fenton Tollerson,
No damn.
Doris Howell, C.A. Pierce, C.E. Pierce, Lee White, L.M. White, Clinton White,
No damn.
Ed Lipham, A.J. Crawley, H.C. Jones, Rufus Gaddy, Frank Hendricks, Barney Johns, Yucca Bryant, Billy Bryant,
No damn.
Mary Murphy, Lucille Murphy,
No
H.A. Harris, Mattie Harris, Dewey Harris, Charlie Barron, Johnny Bryant, Josie Bryant,
No damn.
Curtis Eason,
No damn.
Lee Eason,
Damn.
Russell McMichael,
Yeah.
Homer Allen, Maynard Phillips,
Yeah.
Dewey Pruitt, J.W. Barron, Mrs. Minnie Barron, Emmett Barron, Rudy Shoemake,
No damn.
Georgia Shoemake,
No damn.
Cleve Bryant,
No damn.
Walter Cook, U.B. White, John Crawford, Howard Cochran,
Yeah.
Arch Crawford, Gladys Stitcher, Mr. Moss, Brodus Rogers, William Nelson, Patricia Nelson, Olin Hanner, and Mary Hopgood.
No damn.